All right, everybody. Today we got a new segment called This About That. Me and Tyler are going to be the hosts here. So basically, we're just going to be talking a little bit about this and a little bit about that. We're just going to dive right into here. So kind of our main premise is going to be going over mostly hot topics in sports, not really diving into the analytics a little bit, not too much, but mostly just diving into the hot news topics, the stuff that gets on the headlines every single day. And we're just gonna kind of dive right in here. First, we're gonna go into our NFL or NBA playoff mock, kind of a mock because I don't think it's
a little bit of a bracket /
Yeah,
predictions kind of
little
deal.
bit of a bracket / predictions. Tyler, I'll let you kind of kick this off. You know a little bit more about the NBA than I do.
Yeah.
So I'll sit back and let you kind of go over this topic first.
Yeah. So NBA season this year was a little bit of a roller coaster. We had a lot of stuff going on between players getting suspended for a long period of time, injuries. Ja Morant goes down. Some people getting suspended or actually kicked out of the NBA entirely for some gambling, which we'll be getting into a little bit later. But just kind of want to kick it off by starting to talk about the NBA playoff bracket. Some teams that we think are going to succeed, some teams that we are a little bit concerned about or think that won't go as far. Just kind of give our predictions. So just to start, we'll go with the East first. The team I really want to talk about, and Cody can tell me if you know a lot about this team or not, but the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, Joel Embiid missed some time ending out the season. Just came back a little bit ago. Hasn't gotten a lot of minutes before the play-in started. But a lot of people started kind of sleeping on that team a little bit, and I think they're a powerhouse. You got Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. They have some really good players on that squad. So I think they're a team that a lot of people are counting out that can go kind of far. Cody, you care to chime in a little bit on that one?
Yeah. So on the list, it says that the 76ers are at that 7 spot out of 8, right in front of the Miami Heat. The record is 47-35. Like I said, I'm not a huge NBA guy, but I know that the Philadelphia 76ers have always been one of those teams kind of just on the brink, Like you said, Joel Embiid, great basketball player, ginormous guy, big man. And,
a lot of size on him.
Yeah, a lot of size on him. And like you said, he's missed some time. So when you have those critical players, out, it can really hurt a team because, Joel Embiid is the star of that team as kind of what I'm looking at it. And I think with just kind of, at work, I have 2 guys, shout out Hunter Landon and Davis Patterson, 2 big NBA guys. And they've been saying that it's this season's kind of been all over the place with teams just filling in there and some teams just kind of taking it away. The Boston Celtics being the first in the East at 64-18. What a record right there.
Yeah.
I think they're just an electric squad. I remember tuning into a game a few weeks ago. I don't know where I was watching. I think I was at a bar or something. And it was actually highlights. We were at Silly Birch, one of our bars here in Boise. And I was watching it and you just see how much that crowd at that arena just gets into it and how electric that Boston Celtics team is. And I think that they are going to make quite the run and quite the impact in that Eastern side conference for sure. But yeah, if you kind of want to go into that, Tyler, a little bit more into depth with the Celtics and what you kind of take on them.
They've got a good team over there. Jason Tatum is no slouch. And he's kind of put on a different role. I think the thing with them was they didn't have that experience to get them very far. They struggled in the playoffs and they finally made the finals and they got beat by the Warriors. But that was like I think that was the playoff experience that they kind of needed. They didn't make it too far last year either, but I think this year it could be different. They put together a good team over there. They're doing all the right things. So, and I think that if they're watching the play-in, they got to be hoping that the Bulls beat the Heat because I do not want to see Jimmy Butler against the Boston Celtics over a 7-game series because he will crush them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you watched that 76ers Heat game, but their defense against Philly was really, really, really good. And luckily, Joel Embiid started making some big baskets at the end of that game. But, they're going to have their hands full. They have a really good zone defense, and they employed it for most of the game, and they had a hard time scoring. I mean, I know I put some money on Tyrese Maxey to score some points, and he failed epically. So, and then I don't know if we want to cover any more teams on the in the East. Did you?
We can. I kind of want to jump into the West a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think the West is a little more rocky than the East.
Yeah,
a lot more interesting than the East, in my opinion. You got OKC, I believe they're at the top in the Western Conference. Just kind of looking at my notes here, 57-25, and my buddy Davis is a big OKC fan, and I know he's rooting for him. And then you got the Denver Nuggets, who have the same. And then what I heard is from both of them is that the Mavs are kind of the sleeper team in the West to kind of make some magic, make some moves, and kind of, spark maybe a flame in that Western Conference and shake things up a bit. So what do you think about the Western Conference, Tyler?
Well, historically, me and you are big Warriors fans. The West has been mountains above the East as far as teams go.
Yeah.
The Warriors, the Kings, the Lakers, and the Pelicans all would have made the normal playoffs if they played in the East. All of them. So that's kind of like if you just plugged and played with one of those teams, they all make the playoffs, which is kind of crazy because how close the West was and how stacked it is. And I feel bad for the Thunder this year. I don't think they're experienced enough to handle the Kings. Maybe they can get the Pelicans, but depending on how bad the injury is to Zion. But, Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the Thunder, they're good players. They got Josh Giddey over there. Say what you want about them. But they're a young team, and they're going to have to learn here. And they're the 1 seed, so people are expecting a lot out of them. But I don't know. I mean, some of these teams in the West are really tough.
Yeah.
I agree with you with the Mavericks. That's a tough matchup, though. I would say that is the matchup of the playoffs is Clippers versus Mavericks.
Sure.
That's going to be a drag out, just a bare knuckle fight. You got Luka and Kyrie on the Mavericks. You got Paul George and Kawhi on the Clippers. I mean, those are 4 of the best players in the world just going at it for 7 games. I think that game's going to go to 7 games.
Yeah.
That series is going to go to 7 games, and I think the Mavericks are going to end up taking that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another interesting one to me. I'll let you talk on it. Nuggets, Lakers. What do you think there?
Nuggets, Lakers. Man, I cannot stand the Lakers. To be honest, I can't stand it. I think they're just always that team that is just like they bring in so many superstars and everybody wants to play, and Will Ferrell and Snoop Dogg and everybody else is at the games, and they're just a sheer disappointment. I mean, it's just every time there's just the most overhyped team that I see. It's always headlines of this and headlines of that. I'm like, what are the Lakers doing? Like, what are they really doing? I don't know.
I just think it's hilarious that every coach that LeBron's had for the past 7 years is always the problem. Like,
yeah. I don't really understand that. But yeah, I mean, like I would take Denver all day over, even though Denver, I grew up watching Denver go and play at the Warriors, all the time. Denver Nuggets versus the Golden State Warriors.
It was awesome back then because the Nuggets sucked.
Yeah, so the Warriors were always killing them. And it was fun because, I was just a little kid.
Yeah.
But I can't stand the Lakers. I really can't. So I think Denver, I would want Denver to take it there. But yeah, what do you think?
I think they're going to repeat.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a team on this list I'm looking at here that could take down Jokic in a 7 game. And I say Jokic because you have to take down Jokic, and nobody has been able. He probably should be in the running for his 4th MVP in a row this year. They just happened to give it to Embiid last year. I can't believe it, but I mean, he's been just the most dominant player in basketball, and it makes no sense. Like I saw a funny clip. It was like a defense plays perfect defense for 23 and a half seconds, and it's just a guy like throwing a ball like that and going in the basket. Because like that's what Jokic does. If you watch the games, like he'll just run around in circles and then just throw it in the air and it just finds the basket. I'm like, this guy's insane. But yeah, so that's I think the Nuggets. I think if I was to predict the finals, I'm gonna say that I think it's gonna be either Celtics Nuggets or I'm a Giannis meat rider. Unfortunately, that's what I am. I'm guilty. All right. Or Bucks versus the Nuggets there.
All right. Yeah, Milwaukee's up there too. So and I know they're making some noise this year. So I think Boston's going to take the East just by sheer record and just talent on that team and just the electricity. I don't think anybody wants to go to Boston, play there. Nasty fans. And then the Western, I think it's going to either be OKC or Denver. I feel like whoever just comes out on top, it's going to be one of those teams. But I don't know if anybody's going to beat the Celtics. I think the Celtics are hot, and I think they're gonna win it. They're gonna win it all.
Kristaps Porzingis now, huh?
Yeah, they do.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That big old motherfucker on the Warriors, dude. That would have been so nice. All those times we needed a center.
Yeah, and we don't have Andrew Bogut anymore.
Yeah.
The best center of all time. But yeah, we'll kind of transition, staying on the NBA topic, but as of recent news, very recent, I believe it was either this morning or yesterday morning, the NBA announced that they are banning Jonte Porter. Recent NBA player, he's only been in the league for a few years, doesn't play too much, for sports betting on himself and on his team. From the notes that I kind of gathered, I know I brought it up in the live a little bit, but basically he was giving information to bettors. I think Keaton said that he would make a group chat and basically be like, yo, bet the under, I'm going to be choking all night. It said that he was limiting play like during multiple games and then he's like missing shots on purpose and that his facial expressions like change when he makes a shot and that they caught him doing a lot of the sports betting, majority of the sports betting while he was in the G League, which is funny to me because in the G League, it's like, you're not even betting on yourself at that point. You're betting on the team that you're trying to go play for, actually move up, play for. But I believe it was the Raptors he played for. It was the Raptors.
Yes, it was. It was
the Raptors. And the organization started noticing that there was a lot of over/under bets in two specific games. I don't know what they didn't. At least the article that I read didn't disclose the information on the games.
On Jonte Porter to
on the over/under, and then he's going to his group chat texting, here we go, boys.
I'm gonna suck tonight, fellas.
I'm gonna suck so bad. Yeah, free money, dude. I'm gonna miss all my free throws. We're gonna be under 10 points. I just think it's funny because you hear about the sports betting type of thing happening in a lot of sports. We kind of covered the Pete Rose situation and how it kind of is similar. And I believe it's the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Is because of those sports betting allegations against him.
Can we pull that up? The what the punishment and what Pete Rose did exactly?
I have a few notes on the situation itself. So it started in 1989. I'm sure Sean might be able to pull up an article. But he started placing bets on baseball, specifically on the Cincinnati Reds, I believe. It was just downhill from there. He lost thousands and thousands of dollars in a very short span. I think it was like $450,000.
It said somebody said Pete Rose $100 million lost on betting on the Cincinnati Reds. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Pete Rose was betting on his team to win. So I think. It's not like he was like, I'm just going to manage this team into the dirt. I'm pretty sure he was betting on them to win.
Yeah. So it's just like, well, you want to win, you want to win the game. You're betting on your own team.
Yeah, it says here Rose agreed to a lifetime ban in 1989 after an investigation from Major League Baseball by lawyer John Dowd found Rose placed numerous bets on the Cincinnati Reds to win from 1985 to 1987 while playing for and managing the team.
Yep. And he started getting really sloppy with his sports betting. He had said that people came out and said that he was very open about gambling and that the MLB is not going to get him. People found slips of his bets found in Ohio restaurants. So he's just slipping up left and right and eventually just got caught.
Yeah,
and
it's like
Calvin
Ridley is another
yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Remember,
Calvin Ridley.
He got caught betting on games that did not involve the Falcons whatsoever.
Yeah,
They busted him for it.
Yeah, and he got a year's suspension?
Yeah.
I believe a year's suspension, which is not bad compared to the NBA banning Jonte Porter for life. And then
I think the difference is, right, I like to imagine, what if it was like LeBron or Steph who got caught gambling?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what do you think would have happened to those kinds of guys?
I think they get a slap on the wrist. I don't think much happens to them. And obviously times are different, but it's like with the Pete Rose situation, I don't necessarily disagree with his actions. I feel like with the Jonte Porter, it's a little bit different because he started giving information and setting group chats, and the Raptors kind of got a hold of the bets, and he was placing those bets for years before I think he got moved up to the NBA. And Pete Rose is betting on his team to win.
This is the thing too.
Let
me pull this up real quick.
Team he was managing to win. So it's like, well, you don't want to lose. So what's the big deal?
So I'm going to pull this up just to Jonte Porter was averaging 14 minutes a game with 4.6 points. So I think it was easy to make an example out of him because he sucks. Like,
yeah,
it's not easy.
Exactly.
Like you would have had if they had caught let's go DeMar DeRozan, just to throw him out there because he's really important to his team, right? The Bulls fans would have burned the city down if that meant that he would not have gotten suspended for life for that. Like, that's the difference there. It's like if you average 4 points, like you're not that big of a deal. They're gonna make an example out of you. If you average 35, like
yeah.
So it's just get away with a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think somebody was like he averaged 10 minutes a game, so he wasn't playing very, very much at all. Yeah. I found another thing that happened today in NBA as well. I don't know if you remember who Will Bynum is. He played for the Detroit Pistons. Gatsby, stop. He played for the Detroit. Get out. Sorry. Technical difficulties. Fucking cat.
I do remember Will Bynum.
Will Bynum, he played for the Pistons for 6 seasons. He was sentenced Tuesday, so just a few days ago, to 18 months in prison for scandal involving NBA insurance fraud. What? So they were saying they convicted him
that a while ago, and then now he's getting sentenced.
Yeah, they literally convicted him in November of conspiring to make false statements related to NBA players who submitted false dental and medical claims to the NBA's health and welfare plan. And I just find it hilarious. Like, I'm like, how in the world why would you commit fraud? Like what? Like these guys are making millions a year. Like, what is the point?
He was out of the league by then.
Yeah. It's just like, did he go in?
Especially with Jonte Porter, you have so much money to make. Like, you're not that old. You're going to be a serviceable member on whatever team you're on, like whatever. You're not great. You're not anything, but you could easily just ridden your career out by getting
he made $4 million. That's what he said. $4 million in his career. What do you need to sports bets on your own self to get your screwed out of your career?
Right? I mean, it's the, oh man, I know I'm going to hit. Like, I think it was more of the taking care of his homies, maybe.
And then it's like the Bynum situation. It's like you're committing fraud. Like, are you just out of money? Like, what happened? Did you just not put your assets in the right place? Like, you should have been making millions. Like, the only way that this makes sense is that man was in debt and he was just like, I'm trying to make a quick buck here and I'm going to commit fraud and nobody's going to catch me. But you got caught, you got convicted in November.
Let me give you a little bit of color here. undrafted in 2005 NBA draft. He was a 2007 Israeli Basketball Premier League Finals MVP.
Interesting. 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 I just saw something else that said he had to pay $182,000 in fees to his lawyer.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of these guys, though, man. Like,
yeah, dude, it happens all the
you
time.
definitely lose some cash there. But let me see here. Let me look at his career stats. See what if he was an average player or whatever.
Oh, he's average. I have his
super
points
average.
up.
Yeah, 3.6. The most he ever averaged was 10 points a game.
Yeah, he averaged
in 2009.
basically 8 points a game and 3.5 assists damn near in 360 games during
his first year was at the Warriors. Awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Man. All right.
Good for him.
Nice. Very good.
Good for us. Let's get him back on the team. Maybe
yeah, add a little spunk, dude. Yeah. But yeah, I just find it funny because this happens a lot where these guys go broke. And it's almost like you see these star players in the NBA, going to college, going to the, are these guys really learning something? Because it's like they go from college straight to the NBA or NFL, and you see them drop off and then they lose all their money.
Dude,
and I'm like, are you guys just like not like you get all that money and they're like, oh, it's play money. It's like, did you not learn anything in college when those people are coming up to you, your agents and being like, listen, dude, you're going to get a lot of money here. Let's put this into assets. Let's invest. Let's, get your family straight. I think Eddie Lacy was another, or Eddie Lacy or one of the was it TJ Yeldon? I think it was Eddie Lacy. Don't
Eddie
quote
Lacy
me on
got
that.
himself out of the league by eating too many Snickers.
And there was a documentary that came out. I don't quote me. I don't know if it was him. It was one of the like ex and Alabama running backs. I believe it was Eddie Lacy. I'm almost 100% sure. He went into major debt because as soon as he got money, all his family members are like, "Give me that." Like, he came out and said, "Oh well, all my family members were extremely greedy." And wanted all this money. So I just kept sending him money. Oh, I need a new car. Oh, I want a new house. Boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden I don't have any money left. And I'm just like, it's sickening to hear because it's like, dude, if I had that much money, like, let me like get you all my family members out of debt. Let me make sure you're straight. And that's it, and then let me invest and make more.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like maybe that's where Aaron Rodgers cut out his family. Like, I just wonder. I would love to hear his side of that story on why he did that.
Yeah.
Kind of been quiet about it, but his family claims it was like, oh, he just stopped talking to us one day. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
You guys probably said some mean things about Danica Patrick.
Yeah, set him off.
Yeah, going off the deep end after that.
Kind of going into our last NBA topic. I kind of wanted to ask you this. Is the Golden State Warriors dynasty over, Tyler? Us growing up as Warrior fans, my dad doing all the videos, us having that massive run, us growing up going to Oracle Arena and watching the Warriors and seeing how good they've been. Is the dynasty over, man? What's going on? Clay went 0 for 10 the other night, no points, looking at the scoreboard at the Sack Kings like he's just somebody killed his puppy or something. What's going on?
I won't say that the Warriors dynasty is over until they don't make the playoffs for 2 consecutive years. So if they don't make the playoffs next year, then yes, it's dead.
Yeah.
We didn't make the playoffs one year in 2019. In 2020, we won the NBA championship. So I kind of look at it like, where was it? 2020 we didn't make it, and then 2021 we won the championship.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, so I won't say it's over. I think changes need to be made. I think the sun might be setting on Klay Thompson, unfortunately. He's a free agent this summer. I don't want to give him a lot of money. It's kind of got to be a conversation of, Klay, like, love you, but do you want to take the fat men or not? Because we can't pay you top dollar anymore to be average. Like, we don't need a $15 million bench player. Like, Doesn't make any sense. And him and Andrew Wiggins, I think they both have to they got to find a way to get rid of Andrew Wiggins. He's on a terrible contract. You got to find a way to get rid of Klay Thompson, whether that's through free agency or if you can trade and get something for him, great. But I think you keep Steph. I think you keep Draymond. Obviously, you keep Steph. I never want to see Steph Curry wear another team's jersey. The young core we have, Kuminga, Moody, Podziemski, they're good players. I think they're going to be good for a lot of years. And I think we have to start building around that, right? So you got your veteran presence and Steph and Draymond, but you got to build around that young core. I think we need a center. I think we've needed a center
we've needed a center for years.
6 years,
People are saying Zach Edey.
I want Zach Edey, man. I want that.
That guy is massive. In my opinion, he's a one-trick pony, but all we need him to do is make baskets down low and get rebounds.
And people say, like, oh, he's not a great prospect because he doesn't have good footwork. Like, go watch Jokic play. That man looks like he's stumbling through the woods without a damn map. Like,
it's like when you're over 6'8", 6'9", into the 7 foot, like you don't need to do much. It's dribble, fucking basket.
Just find the damn thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like kind of going back into the Warriors a little bit and their core. It's like with Klay, I heard he'd make more money in free agency, and it's just I've seen just from our group chats blowing up every night when the Warriors play, Klay's just not getting it done. He's just not getting it done.
Klay Thompson is the weirdest player in the NBA because he's the only guy who can play like 25 minutes one night, score 35 points, be awesome, and then literally the next night play 34 minutes, score 12 points, and absolutely shit the bed in every other statistical category. Like, it's just – and he's always been like that, but you don't get those, like, how do you go 0 for 10? Yeah, I was at the game, and it felt like he was going for 0 for 10 because of how big the pit in my stomach was getting after every time they took that miss down the court and scored.
Yeah.
It was just so bad. And then, like, Kerr, if his name was not Steve Kerr and he did not have the history that he has, he would be looking for a job this offseason because of how poorly he managed some of these games. And I get it. Draymond goes out for I think it was like 23 games. We didn't have Draymond Green, which is if we had won 3 more games, we would have been in the playoffs. And I think with Draymond Green, you get at least 3 more wins if he's in the lineup. So I think it's just I'm not going to say it's over until if we don't make the playoffs next year, then yes, it's over. Just do what you got to do. Keep Steph, rebuild. But I won't say it's over this year just because of what history shows.
Yeah, fair enough. Kind of shifting sides in here, kind of to our last segment is kind of looking at the NFL draft a little bit. We have kind of our top 15 of, who's supposed to go 1 through 15 in the first 1 through 15 picks. And then we have some sleeper picks, which I'm pretty excited about. I'm a sleeper guy. I'm one of those guys that loves small time college football players, the guys that get overlooked, small time schools, all that type of stuff. Not necessarily saying these are small schools at all. The 3 sleeper picks I have, they all play in the SEC.
Yeah.
But they're definitely guys that have gotten overlooked, and I believe that they have some potential to grow and hopefully be a good player in the NFL.
So are we going over the top 15 picks, or are we just going over our sleepers?
I think we'll do the first 3, the sleeper picks, I believe. And then we'll end with the just the top 15 first picks 1 through 15.
Yeah.
Do you want me to kick it off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. All right. So my top 3 NFL sleeper draft picks. Number 1 is Joe Milton, quarterback for the University of Tennessee. A lot of people are probably going to disagree with me. A lot of people might send me some hate speech, probably to go kill myself. That's fine. I'm not a huge fan of Joe Milton. I watched him live. I went to a University of Tennessee game against Texas A&M. I watched him live. They don't call him Moonball Milton for nothing. He has probably one of the best arms I've ever seen. The guy can flat out sling it, but he has no control over where that ball's going. I saw him miss pass after pass after pass, overthrowing it. But the man can throw 60 yards, no problem. It's the short
Off his
stuff
back
that he's
foot.
good over. The down the over the middle is good, but as soon as he goes over 15, 20 yards, it just flatlines and he can't hit a receiver. Now, his stats, from what I've kind of gathered, is he threw for 2,813 yards, or I think it might have been his total yards, either total or passing. I'm not really sure. 20 TDs in 12 games. Those stats aren't bad. Those aren't bad stats. Those aren't bad stats. Those are good stats. I think if he gets drafted to the right team, I think he has a chance to not start right away. I don't think he's going to be a starter. I don't think he's going to get a shot at some point. But it's really getting his mechanics down. The guy has proven that he can play, but he has to get the ball under control. The slinging the rock, got to get it under control because he's got the arm, he's got the talent, he's got the size. Mm-hmm. He's not bad on the run. The guy can take off. And I think he can definitely be one of those sleeper picks for one of those teams. Maybe being that second or third guy behind those veteran guys and kind of building his way up in the next few years. And we'll see what he can do. But I think he has potential to be something.
What's a team you would like to see him go to? Because I think he has to be in the right situation, right? He's the kind of guy who's going to need to develop, going to need to learn. What team would you send him to that would give him the best chance to kind of learn and grow?
See, it's kind of tough because I can see him also getting cut. I can see him not being on a team. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't have really an answer, a very sufficient answer or a team kind of that I'm leading to. I don't know. I can see him developing at a lot of teams. I can see him getting drafted very late. I can see him getting drafted maybe free agency to maybe the Raiders. Maybe to the Raiders. That is a very, 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 very,
Can we end this live, please?
very, 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 very hot take. And I understand that. But I don't know. Who do you what's the quarterback situation looking like for the Raiders? Quick, just
why do we have to go there? All right.
I just want to know.
We got Mall Cop, Aiden O'Connell, Dog, flowing, beautiful locks, Gardner Minshew. I think either one of those guys could realistically take us to the Super Bowl this year. Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't shock me that.
No, I think we're definitely going to take a flyer on a quarterback at some point.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it could work out, maybe it not. Just knowing the Raiders QB situation, it wouldn't be necessarily a horrible idea to bring him in because, I mean, it's like you got Gardner Minshew that I think he's going to be the starter, I think.
Rumor has it we're looking at some Spencer Rattler here, but
okay. All right, Spencer Rattler, not my first choice, but
not my first choice either.
Not really a huge fan of Spencer Rattler. I think he's kind of a cock, but
I'll give you my first choice later. If you start talking about it now, I'll just keep going all day.
Yeah, but Joe Milton, I don't know. I feel like he could go to a lot of teams. Just kind of looking at the list, the Raiders. I mean, they don't have too much depth. It could be a good, free agency sign for him, and maybe he can make the practice squad or even the 53 as maybe a third stringer.
He's going to have to try to get in on a team, and if he doesn't, I think that it's not really proven. Nobody's come out of it yet, but the USFL looks like the kind of place that
it also could be another place for him to thrive. Just looking at the NFL teams right now, one other team I could see it maybe landing in free agency or a really late round pick is the Washington Commanders. I know they have what's his face? Who's their star? Sam Howell, who is a UNC alumni, good quarterback. Is Sam Howell gone?
Yeah, he got traded.
Oh my God, who is their quarterback then? Oh, it's Jake. Oh, Marcus Mariota and Jake Fromm. See, another team that Joe Milton could sleep. He got traded to
Seattle. I think Seattle might start Sam Howell this year. That's crazy.
Damn, I didn't even know he got traded. Wow. Yeah, another team. I mean, it's Jake Fromm and Marcus Mariota.
Funny thing about Jake Fromm, dude. When he came out from Georgia, I told everybody who would listen, Jake Fromm. He's the next big thing.
You
I was
did?
dead wrong.
Oh no.
I was dead wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, it's another team that maybe he could sneak into.
Yeah.
A few other teams.
I think another team that could maybe take him on, just from the learning aspect and sitting behind somebody, and he's not going to start anytime soon, but just as a solid backup, the Buffalo Bills. Just put him with another quarterback who can move and can just absolutely sling the football.
Yeah, I mean, like being behind Allen, they have a very similar body type, just being kind of on the bigger side for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good fit for him just to kind of get that veteran presence. I think that's what he needs. I think that's what Joe Milton needs is a veteran presence to get his arm under control, and then maybe he can make something out of himself. My second is Ricky Parcell, wide receiver from the University of Florida. I don't have his stats pulled up right now. Sean, can you pull up those stats if you're still listening? If not, I'm sure we can probably get something going here.
Right here, I think Ricky Parcell.
Parcell, yeah, Ricky Parcell. I believe that's how you say it. Parcell. I think it's Parcell though. Slot receiver. I believe he's slot. He's a smaller guy. His highlights are electric.
I got him.
He had a catch against the University of Charlotte, I believe. I think it's the University of Charlotte, where he caught it like this, straight up here, and got absolutely smashed and hung onto the ball. Just an electric. Somebody put out his tape on TikTok and Instagram, and I got a hold of it, and he caught my eye for sure.
Yeah, 6'1", 190.
Yeah, so
65 receptions for 965 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's a great stat line.
Not bad. I guess he could have probably gotten some more touchdowns, but I mean, I think he's mostly a slot guy. He's one of those guys that
I'm watching his play right now. He kind of reminds me of a younger Hunter Renfrow. Yeah,
Hunter Renfrow, really sharp routes, fast.
Yeah.
Get the ball in space and make something happen. He reminds me of who is that? Who is the white boy that would just bounce around?
Cole
Beasley. Cole Beasley, just like Cole Beasley, and maybe a little bit of Edelman in there. Just a fast guy on the smaller side. I think he's right up the Patriots' alley. Bill Belichick just rubbing his hands together. Maybe we'll somehow get him to play for New England. I think Ricky Parcell.
Belichick's gone now. Remember?
Oh my God!
Now they got Jared Mayo.
Oh, Jared Mayo. God, that's right. Man, dude, I've been out of the loop with all this these head coaches and some of these guys moving around.
It's been a mess over there too, man. And you got Robert Kraft talking trash about Bill Belichick, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, watch out for Ricky Parcell. I think that guy is a baller.
I like that.
My third pick, which is my absolute favorite pick, Cody Schrader. Remember that name. I hope this doesn't flop. I really don't. Starting running back for the University of Missouri last year and this year. Missouri had kind of a historical season. They kind of went off this past season. They were ranked number 9th in the country. They played against Ohio State in the bowl game, I believe, and they won. Say what you want. Ohio State had a lot of guys gone, but Cody Schrader led the SEC in rushing yards with 276 carries for 1,627 yards, averaging 5.9 yards a game. The second most yards in the SEC was by Diggs, the LSU running back, at 653 yards.
Damn,
so that is just
right now. That's crazy too.
And he's not huge. He's like 5'9", 205. He's kind of a bulldog, but he played at a Division II before he went to Missouri. So going from Division II,
I'm watching a few of his highlights right now.
He's an absolute bully, dude. I mean, he's just an ass kicker. He gets down and he makes blocks for his quarterbacks. He runs down, plays till the whistle, averaging 5.9 yards a carry. That's what you need right there. He is one of those guys that does everything right. He's staying late after practice. You see this guy fully padded after practices, putting in work, knowing that he's the underdog, knowing that he came from a Division II. He didn't go and play for a non-Power 5 or an FCS. He went to the SEC and he balled out. And he's the top running back in yards in the SEC by a huge margin, and I loved watching him play. I watched him almost every Saturday, and the man put on a show. You just watch him. And what were you saying?
These are the kind of guys, like I'm looking it up right now too. How are these guys sleepers, right? Like when you talk about these numbers and you talk about the stats they're putting up and you watch the tape, like I'm checking it out right now. Like, how do these guys end up being not considered in the top 100 draft picks, right? Like that's what we're looking at here. Like who's outside the top 100? Yeah, and it's kind of insane to see like some of these guys who were just drastically undervalued.
Yeah, and these three guys that I mentioned are all ballers. Joe Milton has had a rough season, but it comes down to Joe Milton being inaccurate with the long ball. That's where those scouts are looking. That's why he's highly underrated. Ricky Parcell, small guy.
Yeah.
Small guy, slot guy in the SEC. They're looking at those big outside receivers, the big guys. That's why he's underrated. Cody Schrader plays in Missouri, kind of one of those sleeper SEC teams that has been kind of on the up and up in the last few seasons. And he came from a Division II. And he's a smaller guy. But Cody Schrader, he's projected to go 6th, 7th round. That's what I kind of predicted. And I think he's going to make an NFL squad. I think he's going to make an NFL squad. I think he's going to be he's not going to start. He's not going to be a starter. I think he's going to be one of those development players, but he's going to get a shot. I think he's going to come down and I think he's going to be a special teams guy. I think he's going to be one of those guys that gets in the game on, certain downs, certain plays. I think there's any team in the NFL can utilize that kid.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see if he can make something of himself in the NFL.
Yeah, but like the best part about, preseason NFL, right? Like a lot of people say, oh, preseason is so boring, just get rid of it. Like you get to see some of these guys you watch play in college and you're like, man, if this guy just gets a shot, right? Like
that's all you need.
That's why it's like one of my favorite parts about the NFL is the preseason because you get to watch some of these guys like
fall out and try to make the squad.
Yeah. Me as a Raider fan, like watching Trey Tucker in preseason when him and Aiden O'Connell were just almost playing backyard football out there. Like just crazy stuff.
Yeah. Let's go into your top 3. I'm not sure if we'll have time to get to the top 15 because we're kind of hitting that time mark.
We'll leave that for if you guys want to check out. I think they're going to be doing a full mock draft.
Yep, full mock draft.
What was that going on? Zuch and Wild?
That is the NFL boys. So my brother Keaton and Anthony in the end zone. They're going to be covering the NFL draft. This upcoming week. So
we'll be doing a little mock draft and everything. Yep. So pop over there and check it out. And Sean, if you can throw a link up or something in this video, we'll do that.
Sure. Yeah. So let's go into your top 3.
So my first one is a guy who's projected to possibly be undrafted, JD Bertrand. Mm-hmm. Now, good size. He's a linebacker from Notre Dame. Good size, about 230. He is, I hate to say it, he is sneaky athletic. And he's the kind of guy who's going to bring his lunch pail to work every day.
Yeah. 6'1", 233 pounds.
Yep.
And he's doing everything right. He led the team.
2.5 sacks, 5 pass deflections. I mean, he's the kind of guy who's going to be able to do everything you're asking him to do. And if he can't do it, he'll probably try to get better at it. And I see him landing on a team like a team that could probably use that linebacker help. I look at the Vikings later in the rounds, maybe if they try to take a flyer on them.
Mm-hmm.
I look at, like Atlanta. Like I look at some of these teams that were just getting gashed on the ground, right? Who can use somebody like this, who can come in there and kind of stuff up some of these holes and fill in for the run gaps and everything like that. The kind of guy I would want on my team he was a 2-time captain for Notre Dame.
Yeah,
and,
I'm seeing that right
the kind
now.
of leadership you want in your room. And I think in the future, if he's able to make it and perform well, I think he's the kind of guy you're going to see leading an NFL defense.
Yeah, I think it's a
standpoint.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's one of those guys that just does everything right. Like we say, he just brings his lunch pail to work. Led the team with tackles. What I'm reading right now. With 76 total tackles, which is pretty damn good with 41 solo tackles.
Yeah.
And even had a few sacks in there. So he's definitely one of those guys to look out for, and I think a lot of teams can utilize this guy. He kind of reminds me of the Niners had a Chris Borland, linebacker from Wisconsin, that I wish was still playing to this day.
Yeah.
A little bit bigger than JD.
Yeah.
Same guy, brings his lunch pail to work.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I saw him his rookie year pick up Marshawn Lynch in the hole and drive him into the ground. He was the most exciting player, in my opinion, on that team when he was a rookie playing for the Niners. I loved watching Chris Borland, and he retired because he's watching out for his head, and I understand that. I get it, but, man, that guy would have been something. And
he didn't want to go
JD
join
guy,
the CTESPN crew?
Yeah, no. I think he wanted to opt out of that. And, all hats off to him. But, the JD guy kind of reminds me of him. Just one of those guys you want in the locker room,
I think JD's like his floor is like I'll give him like I think his floor is being unemployed, honestly. I think his peak, maybe like a Matt Milano kind of player,
Okay. Yeah.
Really smart, can kind of orchestrate the defense. But he's gonna have to bust his ass. He's not gonna. I doubt he makes the roster his first year unless he just absolutely overperforms at training camp for whatever team picks him up. So
sure,
it's kind of where I go with that. And then I'll go to my second player here. We got Kendall Milton.
Kendall Milton.
He is a running back for Georgia.
Yep,
absolute dog. He reminds me of Josh Jacobs, but just a little bit bigger. Because he coming out of college, right? Josh Jacobs was picked high, but he was considered like he's a good running back to pick high because he doesn't have a lot of miles on him. Kendall Milton does not have a ton of miles on him. He was back up to what was that Georgia running back's name this year, Cody?
Oh, geez, he was God. I know who you're talking about, dude. I'm so bad with names. Give me a second. Let's see. Was it? I think it's Branson Robinson.
No, Dijon Edwards. Is that it?
Dijon Edwards. Hold on one second. Let me pulling up the roster right now. I think it was okay, so not Branson Robinson. Let's see. It would be
it's the leader on their team with Dijon Edwards.
Yeah, Dijon Edwards.
So he had 881 yards this year compared to Milton's we have here 790. Difference is that this year is his only year of college, Kendall Milton, where he has over 100 carries. That's not a ton for a college running back who was there for 4 years. He had his first year 35, second year 56, third year 85, last year 121. So he hasn't had any major injuries. He's another California native. We're kind of going down there.
He's Clovis, Fresno area, Buchanan High School. They have quite a few guys, I believe, on that Georgia. Because what's funny is Brock Bowers is from Sonoma area. He grew up in like Sonoma, Rohnert Park, somewhere up there, and Napa Valley, I believe. Napa Valley is where he's from, and it's crazy because you don't hear a lot of guys. From the one of the top guys in college football being from that part of California, Napa Valley. Right. You don't hear of it very often, so it's funny. And then they have looking at another running back from San Diego, sophomore Roderick Robinson, 6 foot 240, sophomore, played in 5 games, had a few carries, but he's another guy from California playing for Georgia. So it looks like Georgia is kind of coming out west recruiting players, which is pretty cool.
Taking over. I don't know if you guys watching can tell, but just looking at me and Cody, California's got some athletes.
Yeah. Retired community college football player
right there. So I'll get to my last player here, and this is one I've been really excited to talk about. Mike Sandwich from the mighty University of Michigan.
The Blue.
He is a national champion. No big deal. But he was pretty awesome this whole last year. 6 interceptions, ton of the pass deflections, and he just would go out there and he was kind of just, if you guys told him, hey, you gotta help us out, get better at run stopping, he would do that. He's not the best on size. He's only 5'9", but he has just got that mentality where he's like, I don't care who's lined up against me. I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And that's all he did all year was I watched him, and he was winning a ton of matchups left and right. So I think he's going to be somebody who, if a team snags him up in the 4th, 5th round, they're going to be really lucky. And I really do hope it's the Raiders on that one. But
I watched him during the Alabama game and Washington game. That's the one thing that kind of really kind of caught my eye with Michigan is how well the defensive back play was.
Yeah.
Defensive back and safety was, and he was at the forefront of that. Had multiple breakups, I believe, against Washington, who had Rome Odunze and all those guys, probably the top wide receiver core in the nation for the Huskies, and they took care of business. And so did he when he played against Alabama.
He got put in a tough spot because playing opposite of him was Will Johnson. I don't know how much Will Johnson football you watch, but he's going to be in the draft next year. He's probably going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
He is probably, a lot of people would say, the best corner Michigan has had. I would say best defensive back Michigan has had since Charles Woodson. And, that's hard to be because, you got Jabril Peppers in there too. But he is really, really, really good at football. And that's, I think, he wears number 2 out there, just like Charles Woodson did. And there's a reason why they gave him that number, because he is him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to, probably repeat next year, mighty Michigan machine that we are. But before we got like 8 minutes left, Cody, I just want you to dive in to your favorite player who's projected to be picked in the top 15 and talk a little bit about him, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Kind of going through the list here, we got quite a bit of players. So our top 5 is Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Marvin Harrison, and then JJ McCarthy.
Let me just cut in right there. I'll get mine out of the way.
Yeah, go for it.
JJ, boy, oh boy, where do I even begin? Took us to a national championship. People say you don't have the arm. I think he can make all the throws. Not to get, I'm gonna blush, but if the Raiders drafted JJ McCarthy, I don't think I would be able to sleep until he took a snap. I think he is the most pro-ready and a quarterback in the NFL draft. And I think he will overall be the best quarterback in the NFL draft. And he will probably win at least 10 Super Bowls throughout the course of his career, just because of, he went to Michigan, did nothing but win. These people can say, oh, you lost to TCU. That wasn't on JJ. That wasn't JJ's fault. So I think, and I'm not biased at all. I don't even, that M behind him, what is it? It's just the most winningest program in college football history. But, that's just what I think about JJ McCarthy. So you can go ahead. I'm sorry. I just had to.
No, you're good. JJ McCarthy, man, I have mixed feelings about the kid. I watched him all year long. I think he's one of those guys that it's a 50-50 year. It's either he is absolutely going to just tear it up and make a name for himself, or he's just going to be a USFL legend or Canadian football legend. And that's kind of what I think here. But my guy that I really want people to look out for is Jaden Daniels from LSU.
Oh, I love him too.
He won the Heisman. I don't think a lot of people were expecting him to win that. I think a lot of people were thinking elsewhere. And for some reason, I feel like he still has this underrated feeling to him. Like a lot of people aren't talking about him, but he's the second guy to go.
Yeah.
He had 3,800 yards total yards. He's great on his feet. I worry about him on his feet a little bit. He took some shots this year for sure.
Yeah.
But he's got good feet. He's got a good arm, and he won Heisman. So I think he's definitely going to be one of those players to look out for sure.
Awesome.
But I think that's just about all the time we have for this episode. I appreciate all the people that are going to be tuning in, and we're going to be on all platforms. Make sure to watch out for next week's episode and tune into all the other boys' podcasts. They're going to be going into depth into the more analysis side and insider scope. And thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it.
Follow Settle Down Media
here.
We'll
Please
kind
do.
of post all the updates about what we're going to be working on, what we're doing. And then we're live every Thursday.
Yep.
And if you guys are interested in any of our other channels, just check out that Instagram link and we'll kind of have everything in there for you. So
tune in,
thanks,
like,
everybody.
subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Thank you for tuning in, guys.